Yo, what's up guys? Bill here, Classic Rock and Metal Review. Time for our final Best of 2024 episode. That's right, only the third and last, okay? Had one more in mind, all right? But I'm probably just going to run through that quickly on the next episode. Guys, you're being warned. Don't ignore this next episode, all right? It's going to be kind of a hodgepodge of different things. But, you know, YouTube makes you put a title on your video. This one's just going to have some stupid title like 2024 wrap-up / 2025 goals. I don't know what I'm going to call it, but it's going to be a lot of different cool things. There's some changes coming up that are for the better, not in a major way, but quality-wise with picture. Also, Santa dropped off a new toy for the stereo, for the listening experience that opens me up to a whole new surround sound situation. So I'll be able to weigh it on those. I probably have 10 or 20 of those. They come in box sets that I'm getting for the regular CDs and such. All right, so just pay attention to this next episode. Like I said, I don't know what I'm going to have to title this stupid thing, but it's really, there's no title that's going to tell you half of what you need to know. It's going to be in there. So one of them will be the final list of the 12 favorite reacquired albums for the year. I only came up with 12 actually. But I'll run through that list along with a couple of other interesting top 5 lists. All right. So let's get to this. Everyone's favorite episode, the best favorite bootlegs of 2025, and favorite being the operative word. All right. I'm not ranking these as necessarily the best of all time or anything. The ones I enjoyed the most during 2024 for one reason or another. And they were all acquired during 2024, or if I had them before this past year, they had been sitting on the shelf for a while, but I just finally played them in the past year, okay? I count 18 pickups from 2024 and 7 lying around from the previous year or so. There's one, a recent pickup actually, Gray Market. So, you know, that stuff's not out of bounds either, all right? And one last thing. I'm sorry. So this is another thing that'll be in the next episode. The giveaways. I have 2 of them floating out there. I'm sorry. I just didn't get to the shenanigans involved in putting them together. So I have a limited window to shoot videos, and it's right now, and I have an hour to do this video. So I'm not going to waste it. Okay? I'll get to that stuff later, I promise. I know. I'm not jerking you guys around. I just have to get to the whole process of sorting through who wants in, putting us on the spinner and doing all that nonsense. So I will get it. The next episode is going to be really kind of fun because, as you guys know, a lot of my episodes are pretty structured and have the same topics over and over every month or two. This one's all over the place, but that's probably what's going to make it fun. All right, it's nice and snowy out there, okay? We got 6 or 8 inches a few days ago. It's cold as hell. It's iced up. Chopping up ice in my driveway earlier. Man, I thought I was done with that shit, but apparently not. So it's whiskey time still. My throat's a little scratchy. You know, I had some whiskey last night. I slept a little weird. I woke up, I feel like I got punched. I don't know. You know, ever had one of those mornings? And I wasn't really in the mood to drink. My throat's a little scratchy from this, you know, dry gas heat. But I'm not complaining. Who am I to complain? I'm warm. I got this in my hand. I got 25 bootlegs to show you. I got an hour before duty calls. All right, let's just get into it. Enough of my bullshit. All right, number 25. This would be a little Bee Gees. All right. Wasn't expecting much from this. These are one of these, probably came out 20 years ago, represses, all right, that came out earlier this year. Double CDR, the Polar Bear label. And I think why I like this more than I thought I was gonna is, and I'm not super into that early Bee Gees. I'm kind of like well, I guess maybe in a way. I'm all over the map with them actually. So, but what you got on here was not just demos and outtakes, which is what I thought it was. And it is that. But it also has I think a 12-song concert from 68. It's got 10 or 12 songs from the BBC, also from 67. So yeah, it's alternate takes and demos and odds and ends, okay? But it's a concert, it's BBC stuff. Number 25, Bee Gees. Coming in at number 24 for me, the audio of Tokyo Dome 2013 for Van Halen, Japan, and Zodiac's the label for your double CDs. It's the same exact show from the audio, from the video we got this past year also. And I only listened to this once, and it was great to listen to, of course. Same show as the live album, which I kind of forgot. But that live album apparently is pretty tough to get on CD, and it will run you $30 to $40. Same price that this thing goes, basically went for. So didn't feel so bad when I realized I was going to have to shell out the same amount for the official product anyway. That's one of those sort of gray areas. I try to support bands in the first place, right? If they give us something, I don't go for the bootleg version. But when it gets out of hand, I think it was $40 to find a new one anyway, a couple months ago when I looked. Number 23, this one, I have to admit, I don't think I listened to this one this year. But I found myself not only one version, 2 copies of this that I've had for 15 years. I just downloaded Black Sabbath, Abilene, Texas, Shockwave over Texas. And what a great concert this is. It's a shame it's only about 35 minutes. And the sound is Westwood one of those broadcasters. It is a legit broadcast, unlike a lot of this fake shit floating around. And fades in and fades out, and you get, a little bit chopped off of the first and last song, and it's not the whole show. But man, what is there is amazing. I love this concert. But I was able to not only find a legit copy, which I got to someone, I also found this copy that's one of the first initial 300. It's number 99, all right? That's really cool, because this thing goes back to 2001, I believe. So finding that 23 years later, all right? Used CD site in Japan had this. So I admit this one purely just one of those look what I got, all right? I admit it. But the concert's awesome. I admit I didn't listen to it this past year. Number 22. Got some Roger Waters sort of leftover from 20. I got this late 23. So it might have even been in last year's top 20 list or 25. And that's fine, because I kept on listening to it into 24. At least disc 2. Radio Chaos on the Road. You got the Quebec, Ontario show, okay? Which I've had forever, had back in the day. So it was cool getting that back on disc 1. But what I was unaware of was even available is this disc 2. You're live in Wembley, I believe. I can't read this either. It's print so small. Light green on black. Great choice. But it's about 12 or 14 songs. You get the every song from Radio Chaos is on this Wembley show. And the sound is so much better than the Quebec show. So total win-win here. Getting something you only had on cassette 25 years ago, disc 1. Whole new show you never knew existed that sounds excellent. It's a radio broadcast, but the sound is great on it. Coming in at number 22, Roger Waters. At number 21, we got our only gray market release in this countdown. And it's one that I just got pretty recently from the record store, oddly enough, just mixed in there. So you can basically call it a bootleg, in my opinion. All right, it's Rat from the Streets to the Strip, Rarities, Collection Volume 1, Part 1. And what a great package, besides the music, which we'll talk about in a second. Comes in this slipcase, all right? It's Dirty Roxy Records. And I can't find anything other than this and Part 2 of this by this label, all right? Fake bullshit label. But man, the packaging's awesome. You got your jewel inside, and disc, I forget how that looks like, the cover. No, you got Robin Crosby on the front. That's kind of cool on the disc itself, all right? But this booklet, it might only be 8 or 10 pages. It goes through every song on here, and it's got cool pictures, and they know their stuff too about what they're talking about. We'll talk about it more because I'm going to do a little review just on this CD. I know I say that all the time, and I might not get to it, but I'm planning on it. It's all sketched out, so I'm pretty sure it's coming to you, and we'll talk in depth about it. I've been looking for a good Rat Rarities collection forever, and I'll talk all about it on that episode. But what you got here, Tell the World from Metal Massacre 1, which of course got pulled on later pressings, demos, and a bonus track from the Rat EP I was unaware of on a UK version of the Rat EP. So just great stuff. Demos and outtakes, or whatever you want to call them, from, let's see, there's 7 of them. And then you got some live material, 4 songs from '84. All right, we'll get more into that, but coming in at number 21, sound not the best, but the material is. Great one from Rat at 21. All right, at number 20, another fairly recent, it's actually a CD-DVD combo. Blue Oyster Cult, Psychic Wars, 1981, 2 CDs, 2 CDRs, I believe, and a DVD-R. It's on Uxbridge. Got yourself a concert from September 20th of '81. Fire of an Origin Tour, best album by them, I believe. All right, early stuff too. It's all right in the same box. Live at the Sportatorium, Hollywood, Florida, 1981. Now, the only reason this isn't higher, honestly, I've had that concert on video for 10 or 15 years. This version doesn't look any better. All right, so it's not any improvement in quality, and the quality's good, but not fantastic. And the show itself, although it's got some good moments in it, is not their best. I've got a decent amount of live Blue Oyster Cult, and this show is actually has a couple of performances where the solos just aren't great. Honestly, the performances generally are good. Some of the solos are just not, really. If call a spade here. But Blue Oyster Cult's Psychic Wars, still plenty of goodness on that show, okay? And cool to have this as opposed to a burned DVD-R. Since this comes in a 4 Fat Boy jewel case, 4 disc holder rather, I just stuck my version of the show right in there, all right? Since they're about the same quality, why not? Why not keep the backup? I already got the case for it and all that stuff, so. I still need to watch the rest of that concert. I just put it on for a couple songs to gauge the quality, but coming in at number 20, Blue Oyster Cult's Psychic Wars, and I believe that came out in 2024. Another one that also did, at number 19, Ozzy's Bloomington, 1982. Now this would normally be higher, right? Soundboard, Randy Rhoads era, the 4th and final one I'm aware of that I finally have now, and Zodiac putting this out there. Not in love with what they did with the sound on this one. The sound was always issues with this. If you go back and listen to some earlier versions on YouTube from years ago, you know, it had its ups and downs. They kind of leveled it out and smoothed it out so it sounds the same way the whole show, but you lose some dynamics that way. I kind of almost prefer the original, you know. I think a flat transfer of that original post would be better than what Zodiac came up with here, to be honest. Still cool to hear a 4th soundboard show from the Randy Rhoads era of Ozzy. So coming in at number 19, Bloomington 82, another 2024 release. So a good amount of these actually are, now that I'm thinking about it. And coming in at 18, some Sabbath pre-box set. I went for some Forbidden rough mixes with Tony Martin right on the cover there as part of the title. Now this came out about 20 years ago, so it got a sort of repress, I guess, but they also added in a bonus track, and that would be Kiss of Death, but 11 songs prior to that, so I think the entire album represented on here, or most of it, if not all of it, all right? But before we had that box set, or I had Forbidden at all, I went for this guy just to get a taste, and it's kind of cool. You know, the guitar's a little overly fuzzy on here, you know, that fuzz box sound or whatever, and doesn't suit Iommi that great, and it's every single song sounds the same way. It's interesting in a way because you've never heard Iommi sound like that. Good one, okay? Happy with it, enough for it to be number 18. I gave it two listens back, probably March area of 24. Now, another Ozzy comes up at 17. I know these Ozzy and Sabbath titles tend to run in bunches, and that's the case here. And this was something that I had burned from the internet, okay? So that's CDR's in the trash. It's Chelmsford Complete, all right? Now, there's a bunch of different versions of this Chelmsford UK show. It's pretty much regarded as the best quality audience concert from that tour that's out there. And I, in fact, bought it on cassette at a rock trade show, probably late 90s, okay? I ended up transferring it over to myself on CDR, so it was another one I was able to trash in favor of this version. But that was just the main show. Probably a bigger reason why I bought it, or wanted it, really. You get a couple demos, and these are legit demos, not that horse shit working tracks that's out there. All right, this is No Bone Movies and Steal Away the Night. they're just rough mixes, okay? They sound like the same song, but a different mix. The No Bone Movies especially is really cool. That has just more of that, sounds like a chick, you know, in the background, and longer fade, the band just kind of doing some silly shit at the end, but otherwise it's pretty much the same song. Steal Away the Night's pretty much the same as the album would end up. But you're on Bondage Music, as you can see there, and this was a cool pickup, one I wasn't even really looking for, stumbled across it on a used CD site. This might have been $30 or more, but I was just happy to find it. These are the only 2 demos that ever really came out of Blizzard of Oz sessions, you know, legit demos anyway. And you also get this sort of boombox recording, is what it sounds like, of Suicide from Blizzard of Oz sessions. Somebody recorded this, one of the drummers, and it wasn't Lee Kerslake. Another drummer, I'm trying to remember the situation. Were they still rehearsing before they had Lee in the band? Something like that. So it's kind of worthy, Suicide or rehearsal. Not pro quality, but still a cool little add-on. So comes for complete. And it is kind of cool to have that audience show back, because I did have it, like I said. So that's number 17. All right, next up, you guessed it, Ozzy again. Yeah, I'm a big fan, all right. This one was something I never heard of until I got on a certain site. Flipping the Other Side. And it's 1980 to 2010. I forgot that was even part of the title. Now this label, I think, is just Oz. All right, it doesn't really say the label, but the item number is OZZ001. So their first, and as far as I know, only title so far. Odds and Sides from Ozzy. All right. Now I got it, I admit, for the early material, which includes You Looking at Me, Looking at You. Okay, we all know it's the 7-inch B-side of Crazy Train. All right. If you got this version of Blizz from, I forget the year, 2002, 2012 rather, it's on here. But what you get on this version here is actually a 7-inch needle drop, which is kind of cool because I didn't realize they don't have it that way on here. It just starts right with the music. On this version, starts with a 4-beat count in, which is pretty cool, you know. So a little bit more of a rough, raw intro anyway. And you get 3 songs. You get the Mr. Crowley EP, the Live at Salt Lake EP, which was Bark at the Moon. Was that So Tired? Just the live stuff's on here though, not So Tired. But honestly, even the other stuff was on here. It was cool to hear Changes live from '92 without audience. Full-length version of Shot in the Dark. If you have a decent Ultimate Sin, you have that already. But there was just some other cool stuff on here, and I don't really listen to much of his later stuff or what have you. So cool one there from Oz. That would be number 16. Moving into some Zeppelin. Yes, some Zeppelin. I'm going to talk about Zeppelin. There's someone out there that keeps bugging me. I think he left. Oh well. Coming in at 15, Led Zeppelin's Tour Over Mannheim from 1980. It's a soundboard show. And what's great about it is it's just a 2-hour show, all right? I'm kind of down with that. I don't mind. In fact, I like their longer shows and all that. They were doing that from pretty much Jump Street, 73 for sure, all the way through 77 tours. So when they got back in 80, I'm kind of glad we have a bunch of shows that are a little more condensed, to say the least, right? Cutting the whole hour off of there. But those long jam concerts, they're just such a damn long investment in your listening time, honestly. All right. And I'll tell you from firsthand account from the last week or so, all right, that I just listened to, and it probably took me 2 weeks to get through it because it was in my car and I don't do a whole lot of driving. So, all right, it was Earl's Court Fourth Night from 1975. Man, this sumbitch took up like a chunk of my life, really, you know. As cool as it is to hear. 4 CDs, all right? And, you know, just those long jams, just, they're great. I love them. But man, you know, like, there's some other listening I could have and probably should have got to. That some stuff that would have been on this countdown had I got to it. Had it not been for me devoting a half a month to listening to one Zeppelin concert. So Mannheim for me, I'm cool with, and I'm up for getting some more of this 1980 tour. A lot of those shows are on bootleg, all right? And soundboard also is what I meant to say. So that comes in at 15. Now, quickly, I just wanted to show you now, listening to Earl's Court kind of reminded me, man, I haven't heard this one in a couple of years. And this is one of my favorite bootlegs of all time. So this one's coming out. And look at this cool package for this one. All right, your long box, I guess if you want to say. Seattle, Here We Come Again was the title they gave this. Sourced from the Empress Valley soundboard. What was it? De Ex Machina or whatever the hell name they gave that thing. All right, phenomenal sounding soundboard of their Seattle 75 concert. And man, this is fantastic. The sound on this is so good. Man, it could go on forever. I'd be fine with it, you know. So this is one we can maybe talk about if I get another listen to it soon, because it's been at least a couple of years. So, all right, coolness there. So there's some Zeppelin for you. Mannheim 80 coming in at 15. Let's get down to, let's move this along, for Christ's sake. Blue Oyster Cult. Another title from them. Under Black and White's the name of this one. And a nice 3-show sort of compilation on this. It's just a CDR. It's Uxbridge, I believe it is. And you got an FM broadcast from Nuggets Pizza Parlor, 1972. That's pretty classic. It's an FM broadcast, though. All right, sound is pretty good on it. And 7 songs on that one. Oh, early stuff that would have been on the first couple of albums. And then from the Blue Oyster Cult Bootleg EP, 4 more songs, a couple of which were on the Workshop of the Telescopes double CD compilation that came out a long time ago. That's really great. I love that compilation, by the way, because it's got some odd stuff on it, like a couple of songs from here. But here's all 4 songs, plus some 1970 demos, Stalk Forest Group. Not great songs, but just really cool to listen to that old stuff, pre-Blue Oyster Cult stuff. All right, and you actually get 6 songs from that, 7 songs. So Under Black and White's a really cool one, worthy of number 14. Let's get to number 13, some more Sabbath, some more pre-Anno Domini warm-up stuff. Definitive Chicago 95. Maybe their best sounding bootleg out there. It really does sound awesome. All right, Forbidden Tour, of course. And of course, not a lot of songs from that album, or much at all from the Tony Martin era even played here. I don't know what was up with that, but that was their kind of habit. Let's play a lot of old stuff. Although they did play a lot of deep old stuff with Martin time to time. But there is a killer Get a Grip on here, all right? The Shining is pretty awesome too. I'm not really into Rusty Angels or When Death Calls. They're both, I don't really like Rusty Angels a whole lot. When Death Calls is pretty good. But you do got Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath on here, Mob Rules, what else we got? Neon Nights earlier in the show. So not just about hearing some forbidden material when it comes to this one. Coming in at number 13, some Black and Sabbath. All right, let's head into the top 12. Got some Genesis, a fairly recent pickup in the fall. But Master of Chicago Show, this pretty much vintage 25-year-old title from Highland. All right, Genesis Live. I think I want to say the Uptown Theater. All right, in 78. So then there were 3 tour, and I kind of like that album. Trick of the Tail before it I like a lot. So plenty of material from those albums. The Ripples on here is really great. All right, just a couple other really good songs on here. Also, I really like this, so I'm actually starting to look for more Genesis bootlegs now that I got this guy. And there, that'll be number 12. At 11, The Who, New Jersey, 1982 soundboard, double CD, and a really damn good show. You know, when I got this, that Live at Leeds new CD was out there, and I chose this over that, and I kind of regretted it maybe a little bit in a way, because this has been out since early part of the year. That Leeds sold out, 4 different presses, but now Leeds is out there again. I just saw Wardour's putting it out again, so, and this is sold out. So I guess I made the right mistake, as a contractor once told me. Anyway, good show here from the It's Hard tour, and you got Athena on here, which is not on the Portland soundboard that came out around the same time. The Who 1982 New Jersey soundboard, all right, gets the number 11 spot. Let's move into the top 10, and that would start out with some more Black Sabbath. Definitive Hollywood Bowl 2016, title I had laying around for a little while, and Really impressed with how great the music sounds. Really not impressed with how Ozzy sounds. He sounds a little beat up. All right. I saw them earlier in the tour. Twice earlier in the tour. He sounded better both times I saw him. All right. One was the very beginning. So anyway, what was really cool about this was the sound check bonus tracks on side 2. Because I went to that sound check thing and it was really cool, but you know, I have no record of it other than my head, so it was fun getting to re-listen to it. Same sort of set list and all involved with that. So there we go. Number 10. Number 9, Pink Floyd's Atom Heart Mother, flat transfer. All right, this transfer comes from the original master tapes, not just a vinyl early press or anything. And it's the definitive version of this album as far as I'm concerned. Just sounds a lot sort of warmer, a little quieter the way you expect vinyl to sound, but you're just kind of hearing this sort of swirling, panning kind of thing going on in spots that I never picked up, listening to the regular CD from the 80s 20 times. And it is kind of a more, I think lush is the word that keeps coming to mind. Even the highs are not like as jarring. I like it jarring, but I like that we have 2 versions, all right? And not only was this sort of an eye-opener to the fact that I've had this laying around and I think I heard half of it once, so I kind of got back to it. But anyway, got me to buying more needle drops, all right? As you know, I talked about them in a whole other episode. So I got the 3 of them. Maybe the next bootleg update, I'll get to telling you what they sound like. And I'm talking about Pink Floyd's Animal. So I have an early 80s, I have an 80s, mid-80s CD of Animals. All right. Let's see how that compares to this needle drop of the original UK Harvest album. All right. I got a good listen to that. That's coming up next. Also got to some Sticky Fingers. I have an 80s CD from that one. All right, Rolling Stones records or what have you. Okay, let's see how that compares to the US original album vinyl drop that I picked up too. Okay, got to that one. Interesting stuff there. And the third one I got to so far, Master of Reality. Another 80s CD on Warner here. And sounds really good, but does it sound as good as a needle drop from the original Vertigo UK album? All right, so next bootleg update, probably mid-end of January. That'll be coming up. I'll tell you what those things, how they sounded like. So Atom Heart Mother, flat transfer. Definitive version of that record. That gets the number 9 spot. Number 8, the Scorpions definitive Costa Mesa soundboard. Okay, 1984. One of a half a dozen or so cities that were recorded for use on the Worldwide Live album, okay? And sounds really good, a little dry on the drums and stuff, but you know, it's kind of typical for a lot of these anyway. But what a great show overall. Some of the performances on here beat the album versions. Great energy the whole way through. A couple of songs might not be as good as the record, but you know what? I'm just talking about 1 or 2. Overall, a really solid show by the Scorpions, okay? And real raw. Forget that fake World Live, okay? Go for a definitive Costa Mesa. And I think this was a title about 10 years ago, so here's a newer version, and I think it has a song that was cut off is now on here, something or other like that. But I was really happy with this double CD on the Zodiac. Scorpions at number 8. At number 7, here's one. Man, I could talk about this a little while, but I've already done a full review, so you don't need to hear me do it again. Kiss Rockford, all right, 1982 soundboard. Man, this show is such a barnstormer out of the gate, all right? It's a New Year's Eve show, December 31st, live, Rockford, Illinois. It takes them a minute or so to get their act together. There's the intro and maybe a little bit through Creatures of the Night before things all just sort of line up. But once they do, and part of it is because the sound guy at the desk has the levels out, little slightly peaking over normal, okay? But it kind of gives a little bit of a distorted effect to these songs where they're kind of not just hard rock and become metal. That's a little bit of it, but the majority of what makes it awesome is fantastic performances. You know, the first CD of this, and I'm not kidding, and every time I listen to it, I think the same damn thing. You're 3 songs into this thing and you're thinking, this is one of the best concerts I've ever heard in my life. This might be the best bootleg ever. But unfortunately, towards the end of the first disc, I think when you get into the guitar solos and such, it does start to lose a little of the flow. It's just nonstop. They've got their boot on your throat, all right? It's right out of Jump Street. It does sort of let up when those long solos start. But also, the sound, the mixing desk, they get the levels back to typical normal settings, okay? And it just sounds like a lot of other recordings at that point. I kind of liked that boost it had, first 7 or 8 songs. It was on its way to being maybe the best bootleg ever, first 7 or 8 tunes, okay? But overall, it's still good enough to get 7th favorite disc from 2024, Kiss Rockford 1982. All right, moving into the top 6. All right, Boston, another recent pickup. You know, I had this 3 or 4 years ago, Philadelphia 76, December, called Look Ahead. It's a CDR and a really good show, soundboard and all that. A little, again, flat with the drums and such. There's kind of this sort of swirling effect going on a little bit during the vocals. I'm not sure if that was at the show or post-production by Trial, the label on this one. But it's a solid show. Nothing wrong with it. I've listened to it 3 or 4 times at least, maybe 5, 6 times. However, I just ran into this one a month ago, right? Not even. More Than a Feeling from Boston. This is the Agora Ballroom in Cleveland. And this is basically almost live album worthy sound quality. And you can tell just by looking at this disc, it is not new. It is an older title. I didn't look up the year on this one, okay? Man, what an awesome show. It sounds great. And you know, this is a band who took all that pride in the studio work, right? Supersonic, the label on this one. Well, for a bunch of studio perfectionists, man, these guys could bring it live. This show just sounds amazing. The performances are fantastic. Holy cow, look out for this title because it came up as a budget title. I think I paid like in the $10, $12 range for this one. Single CD, the whole show fits on it. So, man, the sound quality is amazing. Now, the next one I need from them is Long Beach 77. All right, another soundboard that I've never owned and I've never heard. If one of you guys can point me into a definitive version of that, best version of Long Beach 77, let me know. That would be awesome. All right, some top 5 stuff. Judas Priest, Rare Metalworks. This is an early title, relatively speaking, from Zodiac, okay? Title number 180, I think, and they're up to the 700s now. So I don't know how old this thing is, but I know it's been out there at least 6, 7 years maybe. And I got it a year ago and it sat on the shelf. I kind of forgot I had it until I got to it a few months ago. Great stuff. Double CD, silver presses from Zodiac as always. And I'm not in love with the artwork. It's cool, but you know. Anyway, that's what it looks like. But man, there were so many little miscellaneous performances on here, okay? One-offs, singles and things, okay? Whiskey Woman, that demo that exists from that. Running From My Soul. They were live. It was actually Budgie on stage. They had some of the guys from Priest on stage with them. Rock and Roll, the 1 minute longer version that's on the original album, not on later pressings. 4 songs from the Agora Ballroom, 78. 5-song show from BBC. Some of this stuff I had on like miscellaneous ripped CDs from YouTube and such. I was able to get rid of multiples of those for this guy. And some Japan B-sides of 12-inch singles and such. Excellent listens. Even the newer stuff on disc 2. I still found pretty damn cool. So this was a great pickup. One that sat around a lot longer than it should have. Number 5, Judas Priest. At number 4, whoop, burnt my arm there. Beast Over England from Iron Maiden. And man, this was a great title to pick up earlier in the year. Got multiple listens to both CDs, and it's Hammersmith, March 20th of 82 on disc 1 and part of disc 2. And Reading Festival fills out the rest of disc 2. And both shows sound incredible. I think Hammersmith probably sounds a little bit better, but they're both like live album worthy recordings. All right, perfect. Beast Over England, awesome artwork on this one, really cool stuff. And there you go, other side of that guy. Number 4 is Iron Maiden. Get your Number of the Beast unofficial live album right here from that tour. Moving to number 3, Black Sabbath. Studio outtakes. We had 2 of them come out this year. Coming in at number 3, 1969. All right, you got single action, demos, first album recording sessions. It's all here. What's not to love? It's like you're sitting at the mixing desk while the band's recording the album. All right, it'd probably be higher if there weren't so many takes of just a couple of songs, those being The Rebel, all right, 19 takes of that. Evil Woman gets another 17 or so, all right? It's great to listen to. A lot of those are just partials. They get a minute in, they get 10 seconds in. It's all over the place as far as the times, but there are some full versions of each song. Just so much fun, just sitting there listening to the band record those songs, all right? Really amazing. I kind of doubted that there was that many takes of The Rebel out there. I'm glad to be wrong about that. All right, so coming in at number 3, Studio Outtakes 69. And of course, disc 2, you get into the first album, all right? Some of that stuff we had on the deluxe edition, but way more thorough version here, to say the least. And number 2, the other studio outtakes from Sabbath. This one's 70 to 71. I think I just like this a little more because it was a little more varied, all right? Not 18 takes of any one song. Some Paranoid stuff, 8 different tracks of Paranoid sessions and such. A disc and a half of Master of Reality takes, okay? And again, a few of these songs repeat from the deluxe editions we got from Sanctuary a decade or more ago now, and then many tracks that weren't available previously. So a Sabbath lover's dream, count me in. All right, finally, I need to catch my breath. I need a drink. My throat's a little acting up. I'll try to kill those germs with this. Oh, by the way, some of my favorite stuff from that 70 to 71, Live in the Graveyard. Really cool towards the end of the disc. It's basically that little, on the US vinyl, it was called The Haunting, the end of Children of the Grave. There's 3 different versions of what they tried to originally do there. Really cool, where they're whispering Children of the Grave. And there's one that has like the circus music playing in the background. Obviously not used. Sabbath, brothers and sisters, your ears will feel like kids in candy stores. Such good stuff. So that's number 2. No more hesitation. Let's get to number 1. That would be another recent pickup. Namely, Iron Maiden's Munich 1983 soundboard. It is not sonic perfection the way that Beast Over England is, but a very solid, actually great Peace of Mind tour concert, okay? Where Eagles Fly, Revelations, The Trooper, Die With Your Boots On, Flight of Icarus, all those versions on here are just amazing, all right? Most, if not all, Peace of Mind songs on here just like destroy, okay? And also the 22 Acacia Avenue on here is freaking incredible too. The guitar solos, they are insane here. Part of what makes this classic metal, early era classic metal from like the late 70s and early 80s, to me, the guitarists are bred from listening to the likes of Hendrix. And then Michael Schenker and Uli John Roth, you know. By the early 80s, that was who had influenced these guys. Heavier music, heavier lyrical themes, and you just have all that influence steeped in that blues guitar. A bunch of the solos here are incredibly drenched in bluesy tones, liberal use of the wah-wah, drenched in all kinds of effects too, but mainly it's that bluesy sound, that wah-wah sound during the solos, and of course the playing is blistering and just spot on, and it's really just amazing. Your jaw's on the floor listening to some of these songs and a lot of these solos, even if the song performance is just good, very good, not amazing, the solos still are. All right, so despite some limitations with the sound here, it can be a little, it's flat, it's kind of dry. Tinker with your sound quality, okay? I just can't deny that this show is better than anything else in this countdown. And you know what, guys? I've only listened to it once. Well, once and started it a second time. It's just that good. It really is. And, you know, I'm not the biggest Maiden fan in the world. You don't hear me talking about Maiden a whole lot because I like them a lot. They're not like in my top 10 or anything. I got to give credit where it's due. So, a little bit of a flat sound, okay? Tinker with your sound quality controls on your system. Get it as good as you can. And it's good. It's just a little, almost kind of flat, a little flat sound in some kind of way. And there are some limitations with the versions on here. Like when you get the side, when you get the disc 2, Number of the Beast, it fades in, it's already playing. I was really looking forward to hearing some Vincent Price, how they handled that live, I guess just over the PA and stuff, I'm sure. But that's cut off, okay? And I think that at the end of the show, it might fade out too, Drifter. I'm not swearing to that, but anyway, despite all that, man, it sounds amazing. The performance is incredible. I got number 88 here, all right? My limited sticker. But man, the Zodiac outdo themselves with this packaging. It just looks awesome. Look at that disc. That's what I'm talking about there. You know, that looks so cool. And I don't know if you can catch this because I got the lights out here. But the way they just left just the text in that, you know, mirrored silver. It just looks really cool live. Trying to give you some of the effects. Not coming across as cool as it looks live. All right. Iron Maiden gets the number 1 slot for me as a December pickup. And there you go, disc 2. Looks exactly the same, all right? And I kind of like that shot, as simple as it is. I think I've seen it before, but just the empty, padded cell, you know? That is cool, man. Damn. What a great title. What a great pickup. Go get this one. It's still easy to get, so get it while you can. Now, let me just mention, there were 3 sort of other possibles for this countdown, all right? I'm sure all 3 deserve... Well, I'm sure 2 of these deserve the top spot. But let's give an honorable mention to Some Merciful Fate. All right, the first gig. Is it the first gig? I guess so. It's 1981. That sounds about right. September 6th. Tostrup. Where the hell are we? Denmark. All right, a lot of soundboards out of Denmark and a few other places. This is not one of the better sounding ones. That's the problem. You hear King Diamond really well and one of the guitars really well. Not super long either, as you can see. But it is a really good show if you can mess with your audio controls and get it as good as possible. It's a really cool show. But because it's just the sound is so sort of half-assed, I didn't put it up here. But maybe if I listened to it more, it would have been upper. So it's potentially for next year's countdown. You know, as everything is. Whatever I listen to the most and enjoy the most is what makes the top 25 list. So just wanted to mention that I did get around to that, but the sound quality, not too awesome. And a couple of late editions that I got when I got the Maiden, the Too Fast for Love Definitive, or what do they call it, Ultimate Leather Edition. Now this one came out earlier in the year and sold out pretty quick. So when they put it out again a month or 2 ago, that's one of the reasons why I got this, all right? I don't have the regular version of the album yet either, so now it's cool getting all those bonus tracks. However, I'm not a big fan of those songs, Toast of the Town and Stick to Your Guns. So, you know, needing demos and single versions and things, that doesn't do much for me as much as just having this on a standalone CD as opposed to that box set that this Leather Records edition came in, okay? So I admit this one's a little bit of one of those just stupid pickups, let's face it. I already had the material on here for the most part. But it is really cool. The one thing I'll say from listening to this yesterday, actually, okay, the sound quality is really good on the regular album. I think it's better than the box set version, so that might be a reason to have it alone. But I didn't do side-by-sides. I haven't listened to the box set version in couple years. So let me do that. We'll talk about that more. And here's another one I got. I haven't listened to it all yet. So of course this probably deserves to be somewhere in that top 25. Wista, 1982, First Night. Okay, from VH. So there you go. Just wanted to throw them out there. I know I have them. If you know I have them from me showing them to you a little while ago. Why aren't they in the countdown? I haven't listened to the one. I just started on the other one yesterday. So guys, that'll do it. I'll be seeing you soon enough. Pay attention to this next episode. It's a mishmash of stuff, and that's what's going to make it fun, I think. All right, guys, that'll do it for today. And hey, man, stay warm. It's freaking cold out there where I am. Catch you all later.